Hey, Richard.
Not quite sure what I want to say. I do feel like most of the time I live in a state of like hypnosis as an individual, and I find there's occasional relaxation of the demands. Just like as an individual, I have certain conditions for happiness. And the funny thing is, even when they're kind of met, happiness still seems kind of elusive. And then I find that I'll place conditions on, say, my spiritual experience. And so what I was kind of hearing from you is that, or what kind of came to me was that it was the same hypnosis sort of entering into the spiritual arena. I need a certain spiritual condition to be met. You seem to be suggesting that the condition's already met. Maybe, I don't know if that's the right way of putting it, but so there's a kind of exhaustion, like you say. And a demand that things be a certain way, and it creates a certain contraction.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I have a question.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
to spit it out.
Right, yeah, yeah. You know, we believe that our happiness is in somewhere in a situation, in a relationship, in a certain condition, or in an experience, in a spiritual experience, or in traveling, and in a certain practice. But it's still the mind that is perceiving me as a separate individual, doesn't realize my wholeness. The mind, that personal mind, is not in touch with the wholeness. It's looking at me, Richard, me, Magdi, okay? And it's looking, oh, okay, well, it's not working out, it's not in relationships, it's not in money, it's not in homes, it's not in family, it's not in food, it's not in drugs and drinking. It's in spirituality, you see. And so it's still a mind activity. It's just shifted the object of happiness. Now it's a spiritual experience. But among those various forms that the mind has pursued, to pursue the spiritual experience is closer. It's closer to the destination than the others. Why? Because it's bringing you to be here. And the spiritual quest starts at the mind level, but it ends at the heart. It's bound to end at the heart. In a way, the spiritual quest, which still, as you were so well saying, still frustrating because I'm sort of shifting, it's still an experience that I'm trying to seek. That spiritual quest comes as a result of you're realizing that the path of money, of relationship, of fortune, of health, wealth, is not what delivers the goods. So as a last resort, you're turning your attention to God, but you're turning your attention to the Lord. You're turning your attention in the right direction. You're turning your attention to the castle. It's like the prodigal son. The prodigal son that goes out in the world, goes out in fame and relationships but still he's not getting what he wants because he is missing his home. He's missing his home. And at some point in time he realizes, I gotta turn around. And this turnaround is that spiritual turn. It's still frustrating because he doesn't know the way back home. But he knows what is the destination, which is his embracing his parents, embracing his home. That he knows. He might wander. He might, instead of going towards the castle, which is in that direction, he might, not knowing, he might go for a while in the wrong direction. But he will sense that it's not, you can sense you're not getting closer. See? So the spiritual path is a path of the heart, not of the mind. It might start at the mind level, but it drops into the heart. It goes to love, loving the contemplation, loving the truth, loving God, loving the goal. You recognize that there is a happiness, a peace and happiness that is not the result of any experience. It's not delivered by a relationship. It's not delivered by an experience, because relationships come and go. Experiences come and go. What sort of happiness is that we know we are seeking in everything we do? We are seeking happiness. What sort of happiness is it if it depends, it's depending upon something that is impermanent? You follow? So we find ourselves seeking or open to a happiness that is beyond any causality, beyond any condition. It's not being delivered by a relationship, it's not going to be delivered by money, it's not being delivered by a position, it's not being delivered by fame, it's not going to be delivered by power, it's not being delivered by anything, so it is delivered by itself. Because it's not delivered, it's not conditioned, it's not conditioned upon something else. It has to be delivered by itself. Delivered, boom, 100% by itself. So if it's delivered by itself, Richard, it cannot be coming from the next village. Because if it's coming from the next village, that means it is limited to this village and now it's willing to travel to you. You see? It cannot be conditioned upon time. Because time would be a condition. For example, I'm inviting you to a meal, to dinner tomorrow. So you cannot enjoy the meal now. You have to wait until tomorrow dinner to enjoy the meal. So our dinner enjoyment, our dinner party, is dependent upon Sunday evening, upon time, and me cooking the meal or preparing the meal. Still a dependent. It's still a dependency. So the happiness that is dependent upon time, that's not, it's still a dependency. Because tomorrow might not come. And it cannot be dependent on space, on a location. Okay, it's going to be in London. And we're going to be happy in London. So we have to go to London, or we have to go to Himalayas, to Tibet, to be happy. It cannot be dependent on space, on a location. So if it's not dependent on a time or on space, that means it is 100% availability, meaning right here, right now. Yes? Logically, it's logical. So happiness is right here, right now. Obviously, happiness is not right here, right now as my condition, as my thoughts. Oh, I'm happy now because I am here in satsang. That's a thought. So happiness here right now does not mean it's dependent upon the thought or upon this physical place, upon this perception. It has to be inherent, complete freedom. And that's the contemplation. What is it right here, right now, that you know is completely free? It's not the body. The body is not completely free. It's not the mind. It's not thinking. Thinking is not completely free. It's conditioned. What is it right here, right now, that is completely free? It's obviously not the idea of me, because the idea of me as I'm born in such a year, and it's limited, and it's an idea that comes and goes. It has to be presence, because presence is not conditioned. In other words, presence does not depend on this room. You could be downtown Washington, D.C., and presence is presence. You could be, driving on 495, and presence. You see, presence is not conditioned, does not depend on space, and doesn't depend on time. In other words, at 8 o'clock when you were having breakfast, there was presence. Right now, same presence. It doesn't age. It's not affected by time. Presence is presence. That is the freedom that is not dependent on time and space. You have to do your own contemplation. I'm just sharing with you a pointer. You have to do your own contemplation. What is it right here for me? What is it? You look for yourself. What is it that is inherently unmoved and untouched, but it is inherent peace, freedom, joy, and happiness? And you will find it is not the person, it is presence. And that presence, Richard, is what you are, what you truly are. You are presence. Perceiving this perception, perceiving a Richard character, perceiving a thought of whatever, of your friend, your mother, your father, whatever. You as presence, you're perceiving the Richard thoughts, the thoughts that arise through the instrument, through the manifestation that we refer to as Richard. That you also refer to as Richard, no problem. I refer to you as Richard, you refer to you as Richard. Same. Yes? But what I truly am, and this is what you need to contemplate. You have to contemplate that, Richard, until there is clarity that yes, I am this presence. And I'm not a male presence or a female presence. The female or the male is appearing to me. It appears to me, which is not a problem. But that perceives the appearance, that knows the appearance, is not a male or a female. So that's the spiritual exploration. Might start at the mind level, might be sort of one more pursuit, but it is quite a qualitative difference about it. It will lead you home. It leads you here. It leads you to be among friends who are all truth lovers, who are all exploring in their own, sharing that shared exploration. That's the Sangha. It's referred to in Buddhism, the Sangha. It leads you to the Dharma. The Dharma is the teaching, the pointers, the sharing. And it leads you to the Buddha, the teacher, the guide. The Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha are the Buddhist trilogy, the three legs, the three parts of the yin-yang process in your spiritual